So civil asset forfeiture, the idea that in a lot of places, in many cases, these police departments can simply seize money or goods worth quite a bit of money from people, even if they end up not having been found guilty of any kind of crime or anything like that. This is a thing that there have been some attempts in the country to fight back against because of the rampant abuse and the huge amount of money and property that has been taken. So back in 2015, New Mexico lawmakers unanimously passed a bill to effectively end the practice. And there were a number of lawsuits and there was press attention that was putting pressure on them and lawmakers in other states to do this. Now, in the wake of that, there was some opposition to it. What do you know? Coming from sheriffs and prosecutors who were trying to get the governor to veto the legislation. They argued that by eliminating civil forfeiture, this would be a good thing for criminals. You'll get less law enforcement because police departments use the money from that to help fund their budgets. The chair of the state's Sheriff's Association also said that the end result of this is the cartels are gonna ramp up their money laundering and cash exchanges in the state of New Mexico tenfold, because the narrative was that civil asset forfeiture effectively targets the wealthiest criminal rings and criminal organizations. And then that's one of the ways that you fight back against them, is taking their money. The thing is, we now have 5 years of data on this experiment of pre and post ending civil asset forfeiture. And it turns out that a lot of the arguments that were made turned out not to be true. A new study was conducted by the Institute for Justice, is a public interest law firm that's been advocating for reforms to forfeiture laws. They found that there was a predicted rise in crime and drop in arrests, but that they actually have not found that. Arrest and offense rates in New Mexico remained essentially flat before and after the law went into effect. That's based on an overall examination of all crimes, as well as looking specifically at things like drug possession, drug sales, and driving under the influence. Arrest and offense rates were also consistent with trends in 2 neighboring states, Colorado and Texas. So it turns out that some of the argument that was made before this reform was made and afterward, and trying to get it reversed, did not actually come to pass, and ending this practice that doesn't necessarily end up in practice targeting these cartels and massive criminal organizations, and a lot of the times ends up just taking a few $100s or $1,000 from regular people, might be a thing that other states might want to look at.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is frankly laughable. When you were reading it and they were arguing that this is also how police, pay for their budget, so on and so forth. That's funny. I think it's absolutely funny, because forget the data, outside of doing 5 years of research, we can see that whatever you've been doing over time has not worked, right? Like nothing has gotten better around the country in terms of police doing their job, or less crime, so on and so forth. And I'm really tired of it. And I also hope that the coming administration actually does do work towards. I would personally love to defund the police and abolish police altogether. But I do hope that they actually put in some things in terms of reform, because this is just ludicrous at this point, right? Like the idea that you're going to manipulate people with saying that these things in effect are going to help stop cartels, but all you're really doing is hurting the everyday person who's not a millionaire, a drug lord, billionaire, so on and so forth. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I just want to show one little bit more of information on this, and this is numbers that we've shown before. It's from 5 years ago, but back in 2015. The amount of money that was seized by federal law enforcement in civil asset forfeiture was actually higher than the value of everything that burglars stole in the United States. Now, granted, we're talking about different communities necessarily, but I think that's pretty amazing. Like we're talking about a lot of money there, and that is why I think you get a huge pushback from the police. It's not that this is a tool that is particularly useful in taking down criminal rings. I don't think that maybe they think it is or not. They're apparently wrong based on the data, but whether they think that or not, it is a lot of money, and they definitely don't want to lose access to millions or potentially billions of dollars across the country.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.